Nice. Whoa, that's a big tab. Okay. I'll get that over to you. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Doug Farnsley. It's 7 o'clock. Let me welcome you to Prospect City Hall for the Monday, May 18, 2026 regular meeting of the Prospect City Council. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes of the regular meeting held April 20, 2026. Those have been distributed. Are there any comments, corrections?
Move approval.
Second.
Mr. Holmes made the motion to approve. Mr. Clark seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Comments from citizens. I don't believe we have anyone signed up to speak this evening. So we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is my report. My report this evening will begin with my budget message for the proposed fiscal year 2026-2027 General Fund and Road Aid Fund budgets. Both of those budgets are before the council this evening for a first reading. We will present the capital fund budget at the June council meeting. Mayor Jim Brainerd will be with us then, and he will be able to discuss funding for the Downtown Prospect project, which is the major feature of that budget. Council members who served with me and John Carter on the budget committee included Christian Furman, John Clark, and John Evans. Christian's work schedule precluded her from attending the committee's final meeting. I extend my thanks to David Holmes for stepping in to fill Christian's spot for that meeting. By any measure, the city remains on a sound financial footing. Our audit shows that we ended the last fiscal year with an overall surplus of $696,000. In the past 24 months, the lowest cash balance we had was in September 2025, and that balance was $3.1 million. By ordinance, we reserve the city's share of the shortfall in the state's pension system. That number has dropped each of the past few years, and it now stands at $750,000. Additional restricted funds include road aid, which has a balance of $54,000, and the capital account that has a balance of $325,000. Taking all those numbers into account and using the lowest recent cash balance we have had, it is safe to say that the city has an accumulated unallocated surplus on hand at any given time of at least $2 million. This means that in case of an emergency, we have sufficient resources to meet the city's obligations for between 5 and 6 months. I will turn now from a discussion of our overall financial picture to the proposed budget for the general fund. The changes of note from the current general fund are as follows. First, we propose decreasing the real property tax rate from 18.3 cents to 14.7 per $100. The practical effect,
15.10.
to 15.1%. Okay, my mistake. Thank you for correcting me. First, we propose decreasing the real property tax rate from 18.3 cents to 15.1 cents per $100. The practical effect of this is that many residents, including all but 2 of us on the dais, will pay less in property tax in the coming fiscal year. State law leads us to reduce the tax rate to essentially keep revenues flat. We have proposed that the state mandated rate be adjusted to permit us to collect revenues that keep pace with inflation. In 2027, the Rumpke contract will be rebid. Based on our experience 4 years ago, we can expect bids from Rumpke and other waste haulers to be significantly higher than what we pay now. Given that fact and other uncertainties, I believe we need to remain cautious on both the revenue and expense sides of the ledger. The practical effect of the change in the tax rate is that a typical Prospect homeowner who lives in a house with an appraised value of $500,000 will pay $180 less in the coming fiscal year than they paid in the current year. A typical homeowner who lives in a $1 million house will pay $360 less than they paid in the current year. Certainly not all rates will be lower, but on the bulk of them will be. Second, in the current fiscal year, we projected that the insurance premium tax would yield $1.8 million. We project the same revenue in the coming fiscal year. Third, the budget before you this evening projects that investment income will produce $100,000 in revenue, a number that is close to what we have realized in the current year. On the expense side, we propose a 3% increase in the salaries of our police and non-police employees. Pursuant to state law, the proposed cost of living adjustment for the mayor is 2.7%. The benchmarks we rely upon in recommending cost of living salary adjustments show inflation at 2.7 or 2.8%. Thus, we propose a modest increase in salaries that covers inflation and provides a real increase in salaries of 0.2% to 0.3%. So not 2 to 3%, but 0.2 to 0.3%. And that's the real increase after considering inflation. I will move now from a discussion of salaries to talk about our maintenance of City Hall. In the past 2 years, we made substantial improvements to City Hall, including upgrading our HVAC system, painting the interior of the first floor, and replacing the sound system in the council room. The proposed budget includes funds for additional improvements. Specifically, we will replace the roof on City Hall and will update the restrooms in our library. We will continue to plan for additional improvements to the library to be made probably in the following fiscal year. This evening, we will also review the municipal road aid budget, and that budget will also be before you for first reading. That concludes the budget message part of the mayor's report. I will turn now to other matters. First, the city has generated substantial attention with our release of the master plan for the Downtown Prospect project. By all accounts, the discussion surrounding the Downtown Prospect plan has been overwhelmingly positive. Our plan rejects the notion of more urban sprawl and instead opts for a plan that preserves green space and that creates a more walkable city. We have a good deal of work in front of us, but it is realistic to project that construction on the project could begin in the first quarter of 2027 and could be completed in less than 5 years. The council will recall that 1 year ago, a group of Morehead Cain scholars from the University of North Carolina visited the city for 8 weeks to study sustainability issues. Tomorrow, a new group of scholars will arrive in Prospect and will take on the task of looking at land use inside the city and in nearby areas. Rather than be passive in the face of ongoing development, the work of the scholars will help us shape our environment and improve our city and surrounding areas. Over the past few weeks, Prospect residents have enjoyed 4 events of note. On Saturday, April 25th, the CEO of the River Heritage Conservancy made a presentation in the council room on Origin Park, an evolving urban park next to the Ohio River below the falls of the Ohio in Clarksville, Indiana. The following day, Sunday, April 26th, Kentucky Shakespeare performed The Tempest at the John Evans Pavilion. Last night, we opened our summer concert series with a performance by the Don Krekel Orchestra. On Friday, May 15th, the successful art exhibition entitled Fresh Art by artists ages 18 to 30-ish, closed. On June 15, the Art Committee will hang a pop-up exhibition that will carry us through to this fall. Upcoming events include the Monarchs in concert on Sunday, June 7, and the Library Spring Book Sale on Friday and Saturday, June 12 and 13. In recent weeks, I have been reminded repeatedly about our superb staff, police officers, and volunteers. We are indeed fortunate to live in such a wonderful community. That concludes my report. Next item on the agenda is financial reports. John Carter.
I forwarded the compiled financial reports to you this afternoon. I'm not sure if everybody had an opportunity to see it, but that's what I'm summarizing. At the end of April, we had our cash balance in checking was about $83,000, and we had $3.4 million in change in our investments. To date, our investments have earned over. Well, I don't have that in front of me. We've exceeded what we budgeted by $16,000. I do know that. 16,000. Yeah. So we have on hand currently almost $3.6 million. At this time, at the end of April, we've received about 91% of our income for the year and have currently spent about 87% of all the budget expenditures. Restricted funds. We currently have 54,000 and change in our road aid fund. The capital project fund now stands at a balance of 323,725. And I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Any questions for Tom? Okay.
Now I'd like to introduce Gina Jones from LBMC. She'll present the audit for fiscal year 25.
All right. Thank you for having me tonight. What you have in front of you is a copy of the June 30, 2025 audit. And on page, starting on page 1 is the independent auditor's report. So this is the main part of what we put into the audit, is our opinion. It's an unmodified or clean opinion, or the highest level of opinion that an organization can receive. Just want to highlight on that page, the 4th paragraph, we did have to implement 2 new GASB standards, which are Governmental Accounting Standards Board. One related to compensated absences and the other related to certain risk disclosures. And the implementation of those did not really materially affect the financial statements. If you will flip to page 5, this is the statement of net position, or if this was a for-profit, that'd be the balance sheet. Just want to highlight just a couple numbers. As the mayor indicated earlier, the net pension liability, or the amount that the state is not covering, is $745,889 at the end of June 30th, 25. And that actually decreased $452,000 over the prior year. And that's all related to an actuarial calculation. Another number I'd like to highlight is your unrestricted net position. And that was $2.16 million at the end of June 2025. And then on page 6, the statement of activities, or the income statement, as the mayor indicated earlier, the change in the net position, or the excess, was $696,000, and this was actually down just slightly over the prior year, just about $20,000. So currently, the ending net position, or equity, is almost $5.5 million for the city. One other thing I'd like to highlight, just on page 7, is the in the general fund, your unassigned fund balance, or nothing, or that's not restricted, is $3.6 million. So he told me to keep it brief, so that's really all I'm going to highlight. Just want to say it's a clean audit. You do have another document in front of you, which is called our client service communication document. And this is just required communication that we're supposed to present to those charged with governance each year. It just talks about, that we've done an audit, we've issued our opinion. If we had any difficulties with management, that would be in here. I'm happy to report we did not. If we had any findings, those would be in this letter, and we did have a couple. And they are actually the same as the prior year. So I'm not going to go into detail on those because you guys are aware of what those are. So that's my report. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to address those.
Thank you, Gina. Or any questions from the council?
Yeah, page 9, it's revenue, property tax, insurance tax, 1875080. That was an actual for 25?
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
what we have in for projected for next year?
We've got 1.8 even in the current budget.
Why would we not include another 75,000? If we had collected that in 25, wouldn't we collect it again next year?
Good chance of it.
I just got my health insurance, and it went up 22.5%. So,
Healthy increase. I think we can fine tune the numbers. They're, as I said, my approach generally is we be conservative, and if we want to be a little more aggressive, we can be a little more optimistic, might be a better way to say it. We can
I don't know if that's aggressive or optimistic, but that's what happened 25, and
It
you would
did.
expect the same
It's
thing
true. It's true.
would happen in 27. But
Yeah, and it was actually 1,229,000 in 2024. So it's up about 2.5% in 25.
We did budget 1.8 for this fiscal year.
All right,
Any other questions for Gina? If not, Gina, thanks so much.
thank you.
Did the
There's one.
GASB standards have any impact at all on the?
No, it
financials?
didn't have a material impact. No.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much. We appreciate all your efforts.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the Architectural Review Committee meeting, talking about downtown Prospect, so I'm sure we'll hear a little more about that now.
We had a special call meeting on May the 5th, and it was well attended. The purpose of that was to review the proposed plan for downtown Prospect. At least this was the proposed design plan, and I think we tried to make that clear to the public. There's quite a few people here, about 2025. And the last time I checked online, it looks like there was over 100 people that had viewed the video of that meeting online, maybe more. In any event, we tried to make the point that this is not the architectural plans. These are not the construction plans. These were simply the design layout plans. And that Jim Brainerd gave a very comprehensive review of that. And I think it was well received. I haven't heard any negative comments. The comments that I have heard is people object to the density. They're afraid of the density. They're afraid of the traffic. We tried to allay those apprehensions with them. The development's going to occur, but these are all manageable. So we don't have anything. There was no action taken. This was an information-only meeting. And so we had no recommendations to the city council. Most of you, I think, were there. We initially had plans to have a meeting in June. I don't know if we'll have that. I was going to try and have quarterly meetings just to keep ourselves abreast of what's going on. But if there's no particular activity, we'll probably have one in September. I expect we're going to get to be real busy with the public project getting underway pretty soon and as these plans develop further. So with that in mind, nothing else I have to report.
Thanks, Bob, for all your efforts. And hold on just a second, though. Any questions or comments from the council?
That meeting is online with the rest of the city meetings, isn't it?
Yes.
So if anybody, it was a really good meeting. If anybody wants to review and get an update on everything.
Yeah, that's one I was surprised. There was 100 people. The last I saw was like 92 people, and that was about 3, 4, 5 days after the meeting. I expect it's even more now. And the people I've talked to, it's been well received. People are looking forward to it.
And I think last summer we took a trip up to, a number of us took a trip up to Carmel and had a good walking tour in the downtown area. And this year, I'm hopeful we can arrange another trip and maybe spend the night. The Moorhead Kane Scholars will be here. As I mentioned, their topic is right what we're talking about. Land use and planning in Prospect and the areas adjacent to Prospect. So I anticipate that they would be coming up with us as well. I think it'd be very beneficial visit.
All right, I'll pass that on to the rest of the committee members and let them know we'll be hearing something about that in the near future.
Yeah, we'll get that lined up.
All right.
Any other questions for Bob? Thank you, Bob. Appreciate all your efforts and your report. Forestation Board, Linda Knox.
I would agree with Bob that it was a very productive meeting, and it was very reassuring to the tree people that you're going to save a lot of the green space, and there will be opportunities to add green space to the more developed areas. So fingers crossed, and it'll be fun to see how this one evolves. But in the meantime, we had a very productive meeting last week, and one of the highlights is we now have an arborist again. We now have Joseph or Joe Mann. He's kind of grown up in the industry, has a degree in biosciences and has worked with trees ever since, and he's anxious to get started. And actually, I guess he became official as of last Friday, so he has a meeting this Thursday. We're going to do a bit of an orientation with him and then start visiting some of our cases and getting him familiar with our neighborhoods. He grew up in Crestwood, so he's fairly familiar with this area. So we're pretty excited to get this going so we can kind of get back on track with some of the programs we have planned for later this year. So we have a canopy program again that we're well prepared for Arbor Fest with new trees, and that we can catch up now that everything's turning green or not turning green as we look at different trees in the neighborhood. So that was big news. One of the other things that was very interesting was that the Jefferson County League of Cities tree initiative is rolling along, and we're collaborating with Sandra Leonard and an initiative for some of our board members to reach out to some of these people who are considering going down and becoming Tree City. So we're going to set up some phone calls and hopefully tell them that, you know, it's a very flexible program, but there's benefits across the board. So we're looking forward to that, and I think we're going to have a meeting next week to do some training and start making those phone calls and help the mayors to identify a tree champion in their community. So that's the way that the programs work. One of the other parts of working with the League of Cities and the tree party we did, that we've established a nice communication with Trees Louisville and Cindy Sullivan, as well as working with Jack Baggett to establish resources that we really weren't familiar with before. So there could be some things for grants in not only planting things, removing things, taking care of things. So we think there's a lot of possibility there. Now, you should have all received the 26-27 Prospect Tree Plan in your packets. I don't know if you've had a chance to review it, but it maintains a lot of the activities we're doing. We do have some new goals to do more work with the HOAs to help them better understand not only the ordinance, but some of the possibilities for their communities. One of the other things we have on our list is, you know, this has been a nice tool to have for some years, but it's due for an update. And, you know, that's one of the things Cindy's offered to help us with, as well as involving Louisville Metro, because they have an updated tree list. So there's some good things going on. And then last but not least, we had an open slot on our tree board, and we have a new candidate, Marty Hedgepath. She lives in the Landings, has been an avid gardener for many years. Some of you may know her, and she's very excited to get involved. And so there are a number of things going on right now. So I think now that, you know, the trees are out, you know, the tree committee's out too, doing all kinds of things. So we're pretty excited right now with the new things that are coming our way and the possibilities. So that is my report for now. And if you've got any questions on the tree plan or anything else going on, let me know.
Thank you, Linda. Any questions for Linda? So I thought Joe was an excellent choice.
I think he's got a lot of potential. He's got a lot to learn, but he knows a lot too. So it's going to be a nice combination to work with him.
He's going to be great.
I think so.
It's just going to be great. And also, you mentioned Marty Hedgepath. That is on the new business municipal order consenting to her nomination to the Forestation Board. Next item on the agenda is the Investment Committee report. The chair, John.
Thank you, Mayor. Investment Committee met May 12th, and we had a good meeting. I'd like to thank all the people on that committee. Dennis Riggs, Bill Brab, Don's on there, I think, and the mayor and myself. At that meeting, we reviewed the March 31 numbers, but before I do that, well, I'll go ahead and tell you the numbers. 3.7 million total invested with KLC, who handles our funds, and PNC is the investment advisor and fiduciary on those funds, and they do the investing. The money market fund, 1.5 million. The enhanced income fund, 2,067,000, and we put some money in the S&P index fund, and that amounted to 157,707.03. So at the meeting, we determined that we were in compliance with the KRS statutes, which govern the municipality investments, and also the one that determines what we have to do on a depository institution. We're in compliance with those. So We did review briefly the audit of the KLC pools, investment pools plus. They had a clean opinion, much like ours, with no findings. And we reviewed a risk profile of all the funds that are available through the KLC investment pool. And we went through a deck prepared by them, a performance review that was for the first quarter of 2026. Also, we looked at a investment outlook that PNC had prepared. So we went through a lot of things there very quickly. And then we discussed the allocation of funds, and after a pretty good discussion, we decided to take some money from the enhanced income fund and move it to the government bond fund to the tune of $500,000. The yield is a little better on that fund, so we should make a little bit more interest. And during the quarter, I think John drew it down $300,000 for operating expenses for the city. So that's all I have. Unless there's any questions.
Any questions for John?
No, but congratulations. There is a noticeable difference from the income that came in, let's say, 5 years ago to the city through investments and what we've got now. You've done a great job.
Well, interest rates have helped us quite a bit.
It's not just interest rates, it's also where the money's gone.
Yeah, it's a good policy, and we've got a great committee working on it.
And John does a great job on the administrative side.
Yeah, appreciate John's efforts. Okay, thank you, John Clark and John Carter. Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. I'm guessing Carolyn's here to give that report.
Well, the Parks and Recreation Committee met last Monday, April 11th, and Sally Schneider chaired the meeting. Christina Keenan reported that the Wildflower Walk on Sunday, April 12th was a success with over 16 participants. The second Wildflower Walk, planned for April 18th, had to be canceled, unfortunately, because of rain. Tina Bevins reported that an invasive plant walk and talk was held on Saturday, May 9th. The event was led by Adam Taylor, invasive plant coordinator with the Kentucky Department of Forestry. Also on May 9th, Sally Snyder and our student volunteer, Sophia Campo, along with 2 other student scout volunteers, began the woodland debris cleanup. Lots of debris was carried out of the park in hilly terrain, but there's still a lot of debris remaining. So another cleanup day with several volunteers is needed to quickly and efficiently complete this project. The committee discussed the park's rules and the need to make some revisions to add clarity and further detail to those rules, but no action was taken at the meeting at that time. David Holmes reported that all our summer concerts are booked through September, and we're looking forward to every one of them. We have one new group this year, Rosie and the Rockabillys. A lot of people have never heard of that group, but David and I have, and we can vouch for the fact that they're going to be a lot of fun, and that's coming up in August. And our next meeting will be held on June 8th. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Carolyn. I'll mention that one of the items that was discussed in the park rules is that some folks who use our park bring their dogs on the trails and allow their dogs to run off the leash. Yeah. And the rule in the park rules is that they be under the owner's control, the pets be under the owner's control, which actually tracks the language of our ordinance. And we had some discussion in the Parks Advisory Committee meeting about amending the ordinance to be a leash law, so that when our usually Parks Committee members remind people on the trail of what the rule is, they'll be able to accurately state that the dogs need to be on a leash.
I think that's a good idea.
I think it's I think that's something we'll consider and hopefully get an ordinance put together. If people agree, we'll move that forward. Okay, Jefferson County League of Cities, Sandra.
Just briefly, I want to piggyback on what Linda said, because I need to brag about Prospect. One of the things that seems to be happening is a synergy that may actually end up resulting in a forestation group consortium. Because one of the things that I've found as I've been working on this, there are a lot of resources available, some of them economic, and yet no single city has the time and energy to search it all out by themselves. And so forming some kind of group has a lot of benefits. Cindy Sullivan has been fantastic, but so is Linda Knox. And one of the things I asked was, would anybody volunteer to help me with talking to now we're almost up to 16. When we started this just 6 months ago, there were 11. Now we're up almost to 16 cities here in Jefferson County that want to do it. And that's what the training session is. They've been wonderful and they're going to help. The other thing is that this is the month where the meeting for the Jefferson County League of Cities is this coming Thursday. So I have nothing to report until next month for that. But June, there won't be a meeting because, as most of you know, that's our bats game. And so there's nothing exciting that's going to happen in June except the bats better win.
That game is on June 11th, so we hope
Correct.
everybody.
I know Prospect does a great job. Everybody looks at me and says, "Are they bringing a lot this year?" Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
it is fun.
It's a nice
It really
event.
is. And they volunteered to let the sun stay in their eyes so that they could be close to the clubhouse. They thought that was really important.
That's nice. Good. Any questions for Sandra? Sandra, thanks for your efforts very much. The police report, Assistant Chief Michael McKeon.
Okay. I know we're anxious to get on to other matters, so I'll be very brief. There are no significant changes in general criminal activity this month. And we continue to engage in a couple of long-term administrative projects for the modernization of our policy and procedure manual, because a lot of our policies are basically model policies and with the word prospect across the top, and it's created a lot of policy traps for us where our supervisory structure is different, role structure is different. So there's a lot of traps in there because they're designed for larger departments. So we're creating all new policies top to bottom and tailoring them specifically to our department. And we're going back and making sure that they're in line with all of the DOJ reviewed policies that Metro currently has because of everything that they've had happen over the last few years. Outside of that, we're pushing to remove as much of our paper as possible and going digital as far as our records management. And outside of that, and that's really about it. Those are the two major long-term administrative pushes that we're doing. And other than that, our guys are behaving as admirably as usual. And I yield back to the mayor.
Any questions for Michael? Any comments? Thanks, Michael. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll move to new business. First item on the new business part of the agenda is the order that I mentioned earlier. That was the appointment by me of Marty Hedgepeth to serve as a member of the Forestation Board. Is there a motion to approve that municipal order?
Yeah, second.
Mayor Evans made the motion. Dr. Furman seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Marty Hedgepeth has been approved. Linda, if you'll please pass that word to Marty. We're real pleased she stepped up and that the board made a good selection, so I appreciate the council approving that. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance amending the current year's budget for municipal road aid and capital project fund. So this is not the new budget. This is the budget for the current year, and that's in your packet. Now I'll ask John, if you would give the background on that and explain what's going on here.
As you might recall, we had Christmas lights that sort of blew out the budget on the community development and left us a little shy of funds to forward for the fireworks. So that will get us to the level where we can pay for the fireworks, which is 50% upfront and 50% afterwards. Secondly, one of the police vehicles had an engine blow up, and to the tune of around, I think it's going to be less than what we've budgeted here, but I put in $14,000 additional into the police budget, and all of those funds came from Public Works budget. Those were funds that had been originally intended for library renovation, but did not occur. So the expenditure stayed flat. I did add additional revenue just because I knew what the actual number was for real estate. So we actually now forecast with the additional revenue and flat expenditures, about $86,000 surplus.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve, to give a first reading to the ordinance amending the budget for the current fiscal year?
I'll move approval.
A second.
Mr. Clark made the motion, Mr. Gibson seconded. Is there discussion?
And just this community development, that is the 4th of July, the fireworks and the community, and the lights, the Christmas lights and holiday
I'm sorry?
lights. When it says community development, that is
That's in
the
that line.
holiday lights and the 4th of
Correct.
July. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's do this by roll call. Mrs. Leonard?
Yes.
Mr. Clark? Oh, I'm sorry. Reading. I think, do we do that after we
Yes.
vote? Yeah. Mrs. Leonard?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes? Yes. Mayor Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Dr. Furman?
Yes.
Okay, so that is approved by a vote of 6-0. And I'll ask Mr. Gibson, would you read give the first reading to the ordinance, please?
City of Prospect, ordinance number 661, series 2026, an ordinance amending the budgets for the general fund, municipal road fund, and capital project funds of the City of Prospect for the fiscal year beginning July 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026.
Thank you. Thanks, Don. So the next item on the agenda is an ordinance establishing an ad valorem tax rate. And that's in the packet. And this will be a first reading. So is there a motion to approve the proposed ad valorem tax rate? So moved. Mr. Holmes made the motion. Mr. Clark seconded. Is there discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. Dr. Furman?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mayor Evans? Yes. Mr. Holmes? Yes. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonard?
Yes.
Thank you. So that's approved by a vote of 6-0. Now we'll move to the, oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you, David. Appreciate that.
Ordinance 662, Series 2026, an ordinance establishing an ad valorem tax rate for the city of Prospect for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027.
And we published, or we are publishing, we will publish an advertisement. We're required to have a public hearing before we adjust the compensating rate. And so we'll probably schedule that before the next regular council meeting, as we've done in the past, when it comes for a second reading. Okay, now we'll move to the budget the general operating budget and the road aid budgets that are proposed for the coming fiscal year, 2026, 2027. That's before the council this evening for a first reading. Is there a motion to approve the budgets as proposed? Yes.
Second.
Mayor Evans made the motion. Mr. Clark seconded. Before we have discussion, where's your note on you gave me a note. So Don made a good observation earlier, and And I think it would be appropriate to, for us to entertain a motion to amend the insurance premium tax expected revenues from $1,800,000 to $1,875,000. And so I'll entertain a motion to that effect, if there is such a motion.
Second.
I don't, that'll be the motion. I'll need a second. I didn't hear somebody else make the
I'll
motion.
second it.
And then Sandra seconded. Okay, is there discussion on that motion, that amendment? If not, we'll have a vote. Dr. Furman,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mayor Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Mrs. Leonard.
Yes.
Okay, so now we return to discussion of the main motion, which is the motion to approve the budgets that are presented. Is there discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
I understand why the things will change if the road aid is involved. But when I look at city administration, why is there a difference between the general fund and the total all fund? What is causing that differential?
That is an error. I didn't note that.
Well,
My apologies.
It happens down below, for example, in Public Works and also in solid waste. And I thought, but there's something I just don't understand maybe.
No, I think I discovered this error this morning, but I didn't realize it went out this way. Those should be identical. So you're correct. The total fund should be 1.185164 for city administration, and total funds for public works should be 352,269.
So this is on the actual ordinance,
Yeah,
It's
it's
included in the
face
work-
of the ordinance.
in the workbook, and I think there's a separate copy of it that everybody's got. And John, just looking at that, tell us what we're changing.
So you're changing the expenditures for city administration, total funds available to $1,185,164.
Well, now, see, it's 186, 196 here. So it should have been 185 on the actual ordinance itself.
Just moving it over, right?
Okay, that's different than what I printed here. Interesting.
You know, I mean, maybe it would, these are probably not substantial changes,
I think it's a
none of them.
Scrivener's-
And
Scrivener's
so,
error.
yeah, exactly. I think I think we could come back with it corrected next time without going through the individual
Right.
components.
I agree. I think it's a Scrivener's error, and
Uh-huh.
we'll make that correction.
Okay.
Thank you for
And
catching.
again, it's not just
It's
the
Public
first
Works,
one.
too,
There's
yeah.
at least 3 of them,
Okay,
but they're not a lot of money together.
John, I noticed
That's
on
an
page-
Excel error.
John, noticed on page 7 of the workbook, what is it?
in the workbook.
5516 account, you've got capital project fund transfer, 128,270. Is that what the difference is? That looks
No, that's-
coincidental.
That is
Versions.
the 3% required for projected revenue. That's part, the capital project fund required that we transfer 3% of projected revenue. So that's what that represents.
So that's still in there.
Yeah, that's still in there. Yeah.
That's helpful. Thank you for that also. Any other questions or comments?
No, actually, I thought that the workbook in general was very clear, and that was very helpful.
Well, the committee did a great job. John did a superb job getting us ready, so we appreciate that. Appreciate your care in reading the document, catching the error. So then we'll move to, if the council is ready, we'll move to a vote on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2026, 2027. This is on the general operating budget first. So I'll start with Dr. Furman.
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mayor Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonard?
Yes.
Okay, so I need somebody to read that ordinance. John, you want to do that?
Sure. First reading of ordinance 663, series 2026, an ordinance establishing the budget for the general fund and municipal road aid of the city of Prospect for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027.
Thank you. Actually, that was the motion was on the general budget, operating budget. So I'm going to ask for a second motion with regard to the municipal road aid fund. Is there a motion to approve that budget? Yes. Mr. Mayor Evans made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Actually, I didn't even get that one.
It's the same.
It's in the same document.
Included in the same document.
Oh, okay.
But I
Just
really,
has a
I
different
made a
line. Right.
mistake when I asked for motion earlier. I only asked for a motion on the general fund budget. I think we can probably do this one by voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that first reading of that. And John, just to be careful, if you'll read the ordinance one more time.
First reading of ordinance 663, series 2026, an ordinance establishing the budget for the general fund and municipal road aid of the city of Prospect for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027.
Okay, thank you. So I believe that concludes the agenda, if I'm not mistaken. Is there any further business to come before the council? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Furman made the motion, Mrs. Leonard seconded. All in favor, please say aye.